So, as I reflect on my 30 days in Kenya, I'm going to start with the positives and then I'll finish up with a few negatives. Every country, every region has positive and negatives, things about it, including the United States where I live. I spent 30 days in Kenya. The first 10 days was in Nairobi. There's construction everywhere. Everywhere the eye can see, you're going to see buildings popping up left and right. A lot of people told me that it's from heavy investment from the Chinese and from the Somalis. There's a lot of wealth on the Somali side and, of course, from China. I'm not going to get into the politics of it, but it's just booming everywhere. You see big, beautiful buildings popping up, hotels, apartment buildings, businesses, etc. Nairobi is full of hustle and bustle. It's a very busy city. Nightlife is crazy. I'm talking like there's like, shoot, 24-hour nightlife, 24-hour restaurants, 24-hour food places and restaurants, etc. The people are friendly, the women are beautiful, the vibe is vibing, a lot of hustle and bustle. There are some, a few quirks which I'll mention in the negatives. So I spent 10 days in Nairobi, then I took a train to Mombasa for a week, and that was awesome. I love the beach, the hustle and bustle of the people. It's more Muslim influence there. It's the second largest city in Kenya, and Nairobi being the first largest city. Um, well, Mombasa is the oldest city, and it's the second largest city. Nairobi is the largest city, and then Kisumu is the third largest city. I didn't make it to Kisumu. I spent my time in Nairobi, Mombasa, and then 5 days in Lamu Island, which was nice. I stayed in Lamu town, which was a bit noisy because they have prayer over the loudspeaker 5 times a day, and it's pretty loud. So I would recommend staying in Shella Village, which is quieter, more expensive, and that's more touristy, but it's quieter. There's only like one loudspeaker, and it doesn't seem as loud and as obtrusive as um, on Lamu Town. Manda Island, that's where you fly in, and that was cool too to go to the beach. Lovely overall. The vibe is a bit more relaxed on Lamu Island. So I definitely have a love for Kenya, and I will be back. If I could live in Kenya 3 to 6 months a year, I would absolutely do it if I could find a way to do remote work. But of course, I have to come back to the States to work. A month was fantastic. I could have spent 2 more months in Kenya and specifically in Nairobi and Mombasa, and even to explore Kisumu. Now, the negatives. There's gonna be some begging and some scamming. A lot of Mzungu prices, taxis trying to rip you off. I usually use Uber, and then sometimes I would compare the Uber prices with the local taxi prices. Um, I had a couple Uber taxi drivers try to scam me, saying that they didn't get paid, even though it's linked to my card. And then when I paid again in cash, sure enough, I paid them twice. So you're going to get scammed as a foreigner. Even some food prices were higher for me. Coconuts range from 50 shillings to 250 shillings, depending on who's trying to sell you a coconut. If it's over 100, it's too much. So stick to anything under. I mean, under 150 shillings is still like a dollar, like $1.50, right? So it's not that big a deal. But you don't want to get consistently Mzungu'd and pay higher than the locals do. A little bit higher is expected, but two, three, 4 times higher is ridiculous. So the constant haggling, you couldn't walk sometimes on the street for a few blocks without people approaching you trying to sell you stuff. That can get annoying. I don't like to haggle. I don't even like to shop. That gets annoying for real. But the longer I stayed in Kenya, the better I got at saying no, the better I got at haggling and bargaining. And if I didn't want something, I would just walk away from it. And if the price was, obscene, I would just say nope, no thank you, and walk away. And I would say most of the time they would lower the price. And if it was too low, then I walked away anyway. So no big deal. But I will say overall, there's more positives than negatives. Kenya is a booming city. The infrastructure is getting better, and I had a fantastic time, and I will be back. And I miss you, Kenya. I absolutely adore the Kenyan people. The women are beautiful, and everyone is friendly. And I had a fantastic time. Um, One of the negatives, even a few police officers would try to ask me if I have something for them. As soon as I landed in Nairobi, I had two police officers pointed me out to where I go to get my Uber, and then they asked me for a tip. So it just, and I even had like a police officer. I don't know if he was a cop or a soldier when I was leaving. The day I was leaving Nairobi, no, I was on Lamu. I was leaving Lamu going back to Nairobi, and they asked me for a tip. It's like, dude, you walked up to me and you're asking me for a tip for what? So you get sick and tired of people just treating you like a walking ATM. But if you can shrug it off and smile and keep it pushing, you'll have a fantastic time in Kenya. And I absolutely adore Kenya, and I will be back in Kenya, hopefully this year and hopefully longer. And hopefully I can get to explore more of the Eastern Africa, Uganda, Rwanda, Ethiopia, and definitely Kenya. So far, one of my favorite countries that I've visited, that I've traveled to. And I adore Kenya, and I will be back.